Okay, so we have a very interesting speech here, which I found particularly interesting, and I wanted to share with you because I like you. But before we start, please click on the button, the like button, so we can push this further. Just this. It's done. Appreciate it. Done. Thank you. Let's go.
To the great people of Syria, the recent events witnessed in the governorate of As-Suwaida have marked a dangerous turning point in Syria's security and political situation. Conflicts have escalated between outlaw groups on one side and the Bedouin communities on the other, leading to an unprecedented deterioration in conditions. The events began with the intensification of violent clashes between these groups, which nearly spiraled out of control, were it not for the intervention of the Syrian state that managed, despite the difficulties, to de-escalate the situation. However, the Israeli intervention reignited tensions and pushed the country into a dangerous phase that threatens its stability, especially due to the blatant bombardment of the south and government institutions in Damascus. Following these developments, American and Arab mediation stepped in, aiming to ease the situation amidst these complex circumstances. Despite our repeated warnings that the absence of the Syrian state in certain areas would lead to widespread chaos, potentially reigniting broader conflicts, what unfolded turned out to be even worse. With the state's withdrawal from some areas, armed groups from As-Suwaida launched violent retaliatory attacks against Bedouins and their families, leading to mass displacement and widespread fear and chaos. These retaliatory attacks, which were accompanied by human rights violations, prompted other Arab tribes to rush in to lift the siege on the Bedouins in As-Suwaida, resulting in growing tensions and major shifts in the security landscape in Syria. Amid this tragic scene, the Syrian government has received numerous international appeals to intervene again in order to stop the violence and restore security and stability to the country. In this context, it is important to highlight the following. The narrow interests of certain individuals in As-Suwaida have diverted the focus, with separatist ambitions emerging among some figures who have relied on external powers and led armed groups committing acts of violence and brutality. Despite the Syrian state standing by As-Suwaida following the liberation of Syria and ensuring the delivery of essential services, these people and forces of chaos have tarnished the city's image and its role in national stability. Seeking external support and using internal actors in As-Suwaida as tools in international conflicts is not in the best interest of Syrians. Rather, it worsens the crisis and jeopardizes the unity of the country. Arab tribes in Syria have always been a symbol of noble values and principles that drive them to rally in support of the oppressed. They have historically shown honorable stances in supporting the Syrian state, offering aid and sacrifice in the face of national challenges. In many instances, tribal communities acted as a protective barrier against internal and external threats, and played a vital role in preserving the country's unity and stability. However, we understand that some of these groups attempted to defend themselves independently in response to various threats. While we recognize the humanitarian motives, it is crucial to reiterate that such actions cannot substitute the role of the state in managing national affairs and upholding security. The Syrian state alone has the authority to maintain sovereignty across all regions of the country. While we thank the tribes for their heroic stances, we call upon them to fully commit to the ceasefire and abide by state directives. Everyone must realize that the moment calls for unity and full cooperation to overcome the current crisis and safeguard our nation from external intervention or internal strife. We appreciate and value the prominent role played by the United States of America in reiterating its support for Syria during these difficult times and its dedication to the country's stability and reconstruction. We also cannot overlook the role played by Arab countries that have provided significant support during this phase, alongside Turkey, which contributed to regional initiatives aimed at stability and de-escalation. Similarly, the positions taken by the European Union, Russia, and China strongly rejecting Israeli bombardment and repeated violations of Syrian sovereignty reflect an international consensus that underscores the importance of Syria's stability and unity. These positive international stances are the result of effective and unified diplomacy that has succeeded in aligning Syria's interests with those of its neighbors and the global community. This showcases Syria's continuing influence in regional and international dynamics and affirms its pivotal role in securing regional stability. It is inappropriate to judge the entire Druze community based on the actions of a small minority that may have strayed into positions unrepresentative of their proud history. As-Suwaida province has always been, and still is, an integral part of Syria. The Druze community remains a fundamental component of the Syrian national fabric. We must recognize that any attempt to fragment the Syrian people or exclude any segment of its society poses a direct threat to the country's stability. Events over recent months have shown that the people of As-Suwaida, across all groups, stand with the Syrian state and reject all schemes of partition, except for a small group trying to sway public sentiment away from national principles. The Syrian state remains committed to protecting all minorities and religious groups across the country. It is determined to hold accountable all violators, regardless of their affiliation. No one will escape justice. We condemn all crimes and violations, whether they originated inside or outside of As-Suwaida, and stress the importance of achieving justice and establishing the rule of law across the board. To our brothers from both the Druze and Bedouin communities, take care of one another. The centuries of shared neighborhood, deep-rooted bonds, common history, kinship, and a united homeland are far more sacred and lasting than any transient conflict or passing event. In this sensitive period, it is of utmost importance to let reason and wisdom prevail, and to empower the wise among us, from both sides, to play their role in reconciliation, calming tensions, and restoring unity. We must also stand firmly against anyone attempting to incite strife, fuel sectarianism, or promote a narrative of revenge and retaliation. From its national responsibilities, the Syrian state will use all its available power and resources to support any initiative that advances reconciliation, in a bid to preserve civil peace, social unity, and national stability. In conclusion, the facts support that Syria must not become a testing ground for partition schemes, secession plans, or sectarian provocation. Some may have chosen the path of division and fragmentation, only to be met with disastrous consequences that reveal how perilous such a path is. Today, it has become more necessary than ever to return to the right path, to unite around a shared national foundation that forms a genuine platform to build Syria's future upon. Indeed, the strength of the Syrian state originates from the cohesion of its people, the depth of its regional and international relations, and the interconnection of its national interests. This foundation solidifies Syria's stability and supports its long-term progress. Finally, I extend my prayers for the martyrs who gave their lives defending the unity of their land and aiding the oppressed. May God accept them into His paradise, grant healing to the wounded, and peace be upon you all.